to the rim. Garnett on the side of the foul. Here's a Curry way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry.
What's up, NBA fans? Dom2K on the mic, and everything you see and hear is more or less my story, and it's as close as I got to the NBA. It's as close as I got to basketball. Yet over this time in these last, I think 8 or so years, I've actually been fortunate enough to get the opportunity to speak with actual NBA players. Ask them about their stories, where they've been, the road they took to get here, how they experienced the NBA in a way we never will. And so when I do that, I actually want to bring their stories to you. I'm very interested, if you can't tell by the content on this channel. And today I am partly bringing you Roy Hibbert. I got to sit down with him for about an hour and talk about how he got to the league, his path there, how he experienced it. And I took a few of the answers he gave from the actual full podcast for you guys here. So if you want to hear the full thing, the link will be in the comment section and description. But for now, here's just a little bit of what we discussed. So early on, I took some time to ask him about trash talk. We know Roy has been a very stoic and really calm player throughout his career, but if you've been on a basketball court, you probably experienced trash talk, and his answer probably doesn't surprise you.
I would say Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
And then my rookie year, like, I don't know why my dumb ass did this, but like before we were about to play Boston, KG just like, sweating bullets and stuff before the game, just banging his head under the basket and stuff like that. And I try to go, "What's up, KG?" Like, before jump ball, my big fan of yours. He looked me up and down, was like, "Shut the fuck up, you cupcake bitch." And I was like, God damn. I was like, okay, now I know. Now I know not to meet your idols, whatever like that, man. So whenever I used to play against him, like, he used to always say some stuff, and I never used to say stuff unless you started with me. But like, I used to do this thing where like I guard the post, one bent arm, and then you can have like a guide hand. So I used to take this, like, my thumb right here and just dig it right in between his ribs. So he'd just go like this, and the referee would see that and then get an offensive foul. Every now and then he would do it. So I never liked him. Just always talking trash. Him and Paul Pierce. And those guys talk so much shit, but respect to them. When I was in Milwaukee, they brought in KG to kind of mentor Thon Maker. And I saw him in the gym after practice or before practice. I'm like, oh shit, it's about to go down. You like that meme on Grand Theft Auto? Like, oh shit, here we go again. And then like, bro, he was the nicest dude ever. And I'm just like, man, like, like we started talking and we talked the game. I'm just like, God damn, I guess like his persona on the court's not the same as off the court. But I know I went on a tangent there.
So at this point in our conversation, I asked him to basically expand upon the Indiana and Miami and Indiana and New York rivalries that were happening around 2013 when they were trying to break through. And I couldn't get out of it without talking about the block, because I feel like the first comment on that video explains it pretty well, in that it set New York back about 10 years.
But when it comes to like the Knicks and the Heat, we always felt like we played with like a chip on our shoulder, because I had said something that would probably get me canceled today when I was just like, in addition to, I said, like, y'all don't watch us play, it was because, I felt we were a good team, but the national media, saw Miami and New York as big market teams. So I felt like, it was our pleasure to, like, go in there and kick some Knicks tape ass or whatever they call themselves or whatever, So for sure, Melo. I remember Frank Vogel was like, Roy, PG, whenever Melo comes out the game, you guys come out the game. Whenever Melo checks into the game, don't even look at me, just sub yourselves back in. So it was just like, man, that breath that I took after that block, I was exhausted, because like Melo was just like playing like almost the whole game. And most times Frank Vogel has like a card where he would like, he would have like the times of in the plays he wanted to call. So even if you were playing well or not, and if it came at the 4-minute timeout, it was my time to come out the game, and I had 18 points. He was taking you out the game, but it was like a shift. But man, it was just always have my teammates back. Love making plays at the rim. That was my whole thing, was defense. And I always thought to myself, PG had to guard, PG and Lance and George Hill were guarding D Wade, LeBron, J.R. Smith, Melo all the time, So I'm just like, bro, I gotta help these dudes out any way that I can, So if they slip up, I'm the last line of defense. So I was pretty, and after they knew that though.
In preparing for my interview with Roy, I think I noticed for the first time ever In that play where LeBron wins game 1 on the easiest layup you'll ever see him take or make, Roy Hibbert was not on the floor. And in our conversation, he talked about how he liked to be the backup for Paul George or his wing guys. And yet, with 5 fouls, he could have had the chance, and yet he wasn't there. So I asked him about it.
And then they may have subbed and went small with Chris Bosh at 3. And I remember, I think Chris Bosh was in the corner, and then I think LeBron was driving left. And Frank always had the thing where at the end of games, whether we're up or not, he likes to go small for like offensive inbounding or situations like this. I would have hoped that, he had trusted me that the thing in basketball, if LeBron's at the top of the key and I'm guarding the corner and there's single side corner, there's no help. There's like in basketball, you cannot help on the same side, because if I go to help while LeBron's driving left to the rim, which he did, if he throws that thing out to Chris Bosh, there's nobody there to rotate the stunt. It's basically like, it has to be like, perfect where I cover LeBron and then PG just knows to go right out to, it'd have to be a miracle, I'd have to say, for it to come out perfectly and everything. So I understand why he took me out. It still hurts nonetheless, but at the same time, it's life. But I definitely wish I was in the game there to like at least make a play. Be a part of the play at least.
Roy Hibbert, like many players I've talked to, had the honor of sharing the court with Kobe Bryant and getting to know him, sharing a locker room with him, sharing a plane with him. So we got to talking about his last season with the Los Angeles Lakers, Kobe's last season that is, and what it was like to get to play alongside him.
So everything ran through Kobe. As soon as Mitch Kupchak told me they're making the trade for me and everything like that, everybody was like, you gotta basically like go talk to Kobe first. Like, I don't know if you can find it. Myself, Lou Will's like a meme where somebody asked us at a press conference with Brandon Bass, that anybody, has Kobe reached out to you yet? And like, we all looked around, it was just like, nah, not yet. So for me, it was just like, all right, so when I did talk to Kobe, I was just like, man, we just get to work and just, whatever. But it was definitely a fun experience. Kobe, at the end of his career, at the beginning of the season, he didn't tell us he was retiring, but we all got a sense of it. He hardly came to practice, but he would show up to games. And but when he did come to practice, the level of intensity just like rose. But man, it was a tough year, losing so much. But then at the same time, just to be around Kobe, like, and just talk to him on the plane, like, but Kobe would have his seat on the window, and then he would have an empty seat right next to him. So he would sound like a rookie was supposed to be sitting there, but they sat in the back the whole year. Most of the time, it's like you sit in the back, rookies sit in the back during preseason. But sometimes myself and Bean would just sit there and talk politics. The election was about to happen, and Trump and Hillary going on. So we would talk politics and just get a different side of him, though. And like the stories that he told me, and just being around him was something special, though, for sure. And I'm actually happy that I got to spend that time with him, but definitely miss him for sure.
This next part was really interesting to me because I didn't know it was a thing, but he's got a great relationship with Tim Duncan of all people. So from big man to big man, he talks about how he helped Tim throughout his career, and some trash talk stories because, yeah, you've probably heard Timmy as well. He didn't talk trash like KG, but he definitely did it. And I probably should mention it does appear he got the story wrong because I found the footage from 2009 and what he's talking about here. And what he's saying didn't happen. I'm sure it probably maybe happened later that night or it was a different game, but he remembers some of it. It was 14 years ago.
I'm walking in to sit in the studio audience, and then like literally Tim Duncan is just sitting there on the chair. I'm just like, oh shit. And I'm like 13, 14 years old. I shaking his hand and everything. And then when I told him that story, I didn't think he'd remember. I don't think he did. But at the same time, it's just like, man, like you get to meet your idol. He's such a good dude, man, too. I used to have a journal, and I would write down the 3 things that I need to do well against the Houston Rockets, 3 things that the 2 started with the power forward and the backup power forward, they do well, and then like 3 things that the center and the backup center do well. So if there was like a player that I had not played against, or because you only play like the West Coast teams like twice as opposed to like 4 times on the East Coast and everything like that, I text Tim like, hey, can you give me a scout report on, you know, such and such from on LaMarcus Aldridge? You know, what's he been doing lately? You just played him last week. And he gave me a complete scouting report and everything, and like, you know, and like, you know, so it was like a friendship that's, you know, to this day, you know. So I have a pair of his shoes signed, and I have a pair of Kobe signed. That's in my wall upstairs on my wall and stuff like that. Like, you know, so Tim was that dude. There was one time, I forgot the game, man. We were playing in San Antonio. I think it was my first or second year in the league. I was having a good game defensively. I had it was like 8 seconds left. I think Melo Ginobili passed it, or Tony Parker drove to the basket, passed it to Tim. I go up. Tim tries to dunk it or something. I block it, and I kind of like come out of position a little bit. I block it like at the rim. 3 seconds left. The ball like literally has magnets in his hand, gets it right back and like scores it right then and there. And he was like, slaps me on the butt and says like, next time, Chief. I'm just like, you know, it's just like, you know, little things like that. It's like, all right, man, like, you know, the basketball gods are in your favor today. You know, it's all in your favor. So, but no, he was real cool. He didn't really talk trash though. And like, that's the type of like demeanor I wanted to have when I played. Looked up to him. I wanted to be like the strong, silent type and everything. So, not to jump here, but like when I have my YouTube channel now, people are just like, Roy, like you seem to be having more of a personality than you did on the court. And I'm just trying to emulate like the way how Tim did it, you know, because just like, don't get too high, don't get too low, just be kind of be even keeled and stuff like that. Still show emotion every now and then, you know, have a good moment when the TV timeout comes and you just have a good moment. You have something, you know, for a commercial or something. But yeah, that's pretty much who I wanted to be a blueprint of.
For the final question in this video, we actually ended up having an interesting conversation about training staffs and how they affect teams. It seems pretty like milquetoast and common sense. However, he is talking about the differences in what he experienced in Charlotte versus Indiana, and I think it's pretty telling.
So hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble later on, but like from what I understood, at least in the Charlotte situation, was that training staff was with Jordan, and Jordan, from what I heard, is like very like, you know, if you're close with him, he takes care of you. That training staff was the Washington Wizards training staff when he came back in the early 2000s, when he came back unretired the second time. He trusted them or whatever like that, so he brought them in. And, you know, guys used to tell me they complained about the training staff. But if the dude at the top, you know, when I was in Indy, there was continuity between like what the training staff was doing. If Josh McRoberts was hurt, had an ankle injury, they would treat him before practice with his ankle, do some hip mobility stuff. So, you know, because everything's all lined up. And then when he goes to do lifting before practice, you know, the strength coach knows what ailments they have, so they'll adjust the workouts per that. There'll be times where I'd be doing an exercise for a month straight, and then I had because of an injury, and then like the trainer will come in and be like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be doing that. That hurts your injury." And I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm just like, this is in Charlotte. I'm just like, what the hell? You know, and then, so I felt like sometimes continuity and synergy. Sorry, synergy is probably the better word. In terms of like a staff, everybody knows what everybody's doing and everything like that. So, but yeah, that I never seen somewhere I had to pay out of pocket towards the end of my career just for some good training staff.
So there you have it. Roy Hibbert is one of many players that I've been fortunate enough to talk to over the years, and it's probably the first one I actually put on the channel in this manner. So if there are other players you would like for me to have conversations with, or, you know, if there's a guy out there you think can kind of get you a behind the scenes look at the NBA, put it in the comment section and I will do my best to reach out. As always, hit the like button, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, while hitting the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops.